Rakugo is an old Japanese theater art in which one person, historically men, play all the roles from a seated position. Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinjuu's narrative characterizes these storytellers through the Rakugo that they perform, and in it do they embody several identities. During performances, storytellers freely enter and exit different identities as they play all the roles. And this is regardless of gender, and that's really interesting when applied to social theorist Judith Butler's gender performativity. Butler argues that gender is replicated and performative. Gender is imitation without origin. The key here being performative and how it links to literal performance, especially one as gender non-conforming as Rakugo. Kikuhiku's identity is fluid, not only in name and self, but also gender. Kiku has existed as both Kikuhiku and Yamuko, as well as each of the characters that he's played, as man and woman. Kikuhiku's defining moment as a performer came when playing a woman during a stage play. For the first time, Kiku felt the power and control of a storyteller while dressed in drag. And Butler oftentimes references drag in her text. In Imitation and Gender Insubordination, she makes a claim that drag enacts the very structure of impersonation by which any gender is assumed. Drag is not appropriation that assumes that gender is the rightful property of sex, that masculine belongs to male and feminine belongs to female. She compares the idea of performativity to the act of wearing drag, that gender can be worn and unworn, like drag. Kikuhiku exists in a highly gendered space. Rakugo is not only the domain of men, but Kikuhiku was pushed into Rakugo because he couldn't participate in dance. Kiku also excels at sensual Rakugo, which is starkly different than Sugeroku's bombastic masculine style. Sugeroku is a brilliant foil to this gendering, a physical manifestation of masculinity to counter Kikuhiku's gender fluidity. The juxtaposition is important not only to illustrate the future of Rakugo, but to also frame Kikuhiku's identity, and an identity that embodies many roles, male, female, all in between and outside. Rakugo can be read as performative drag, impersonation and appropriation of identity, one that exists and that can be entered freely. Kiku exists in identities that make up the grander sense of self that he found as a performer, specifically in Rakugo. It's a fluidity of identity that goes beyond the performed. Butler makes a point to separate performance from performative, that gender isn't acting but rather performativity because it creates a series of effects. In Kikuhiku's case, this performativity is both lived and performed, in body and by the art of Rakugo itself.